Okay, thank you very much. Let's hope that this remote session will work well until the end. Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't join you in Latvia, but I'm sure we can handle this also remotely from Finland. So for the next or for the rest of the day, we will take a look at this forestry TEP processing platform. And let me maybe share the screens already. I mean, slides at this point. Yeah. So my name is Jukka Miettinen. I will be mostly talking and presenting for the rest of the day, but then we have also Lauri Seitsonen, who is our technical genius, who will then talk you about the developer perspective of the platform. And we have, of course, Oleg, who is with you there and can help if any kind of problems arise there. So the idea for the rest of the day would be to first, I would give you an overall presentation of what forestry TEP is and what you can do with it. Then we have a coffee break, and after that we will get our hands on the platform itself. We will start with the short demonstration of the key features, and then we will have some exercises. And at the end of the day, Lauri will tell more about the developer functionalities on the platform. And I was happy to listen for the past 10 to 15 minutes Oleg's talking, and I was thinking that these are exactly the kind of approaches that you can then implement into this platform. So in that sense, this is a good continuation or end of this day. Good. But then a little bit of background first. I mean, we all know that there are large global challenges ahead of us, and forests play a big role in many of those. And different types of monitoring tools, more and more different types of monitoring tools are needed to be able to respond to the new requirements. Different kinds of legislation and consumer pressure and whatever it is, this affects all forestry stakeholders, whether it's international organization or government administration or private companies. We have more and more obligations and desire to monitor forests on high frequency and different types of aspects of forests. And at the same time, the amount of data that we have to use to do this monitoring is rapidly increasing. First of all, of course, as we are now here in the ISA session, there are all the satellite data sets. I mean, the amount of the volume of satellite data available has really exploded over the past 10 years. But this is not all. In addition, we have different types of airborne sensors. We have increasing amount of field measurements, which are not anymore always measured actually in the traditional way by hand, but they may also be coming from various sensors actually on the ground. We have crowdsourced data. We have weather climate data and different types of geographical data sets. So the amount of data is overwhelming nowadays. And if we are thinking about satellites, particularly important nowadays for forest monitoring are the Sentinel, especially 1 and 2, but also to some extent Sentinel-3 satellite. And these Sentinel-1 and 2 alone, they produce like a global coverage in every few days in 10-meter resolution. So you can imagine that there is incredible amount of data. And to handle all this data, we need this kind of platform, remote platforms. There is no way anybody can nowadays take full benefit of all the existing data sets by downloading the data into his PC. So for this reason, we have these various different types of of platforms, and the image we can see here, it's the ESA's vision on this data and and processing platforms. So at the bottom level, we have the data generation level, basically, whether it comes from ESA or from other sources. They may be international or national satellites. And on top of that, we have then what is called resource tier layer, which is basically the storage and distribution platforms. And here in this layer, we have several national, I mean, many countries have their own distribution or several distribution centers. But most importantly, here we have the Copernicus DIAS platforms, the data and information access system platforms or services. And on top of these, we then have the service layer, which is basically the layer that allows the users to access and benefit from these data sets. And if you notice that in this platform service layer, there is the TEP, which are the thematic exploitation platforms initiated by ESA a few years ago. And one of those is forestry TEP. So it's really, we are talking about forestry TEP today, and we will demo the platform, but these similar kind of approaches and methods and tools you find also in many other platforms. So in the right hand side here, you can see how forestry TEP then is positioned in this pyramid or network. So forestry TEP, for example, it physically sits on one of the DIASes. It's in one of the DIASes called CryoDIAS. It's in Poland. And this forestry TEP platform, which is sort of an interface to the forestry users for this DIAS, sits on that DIAS. And the idea is that in forestry TEP, the users can find then these applications, whether it's from forestry TEP or VTT or some third-party users. So the idea is that the forestry TEP platform would sit like in between the data and service providers and the users. So the forestry TEP and this type of platforms would be the avenue or the interface for the users to access and benefit from all that big amount of data. The forestry TEP platform is coordinated by VTT, but there are many, like I said, there are many other platforms available as well. We have registered users from I would say all over the world actually, but number-wise, concentrated in Europe naturally. And we will have a look at both the website and the platform very soon actually, but just a glimpse of what it looks like here. Good. So what you can do, how you can benefit then, or how generally a user can benefit from forestry TEP. There are basically two basic ways to use it first of all. One is to use the available applications that are already on the platform to combine the EO data and other data sets that are there, and potentially also your own data sets. You can upload your own data sets there, and you can use the existing applications there without bringing all the necessary data to your computer. Another way to use it, and which is then the way that really unleashes the power, is to develop your own processing scripts. So if you have your own processing scripts that you like to work on your computer, you can then implement those into this platform, and you have access. You can run then through the whole CreaDS database, what is available there. And further on, you can, if you want, also then to share these processing scripts with other users, or if you think they have commercial value, you can license them. And similarly, you can share products if you want, and so on. But this is all up to you, up to the user then. Also, there are two different modes of usage. So the primary way for beginners especially is the online web interface. This is the interface that we will soon have a look, and this is the interface that we will try today. But there is also a direct machine-to-machine connection, this REST API, through which you can contact the platform directly from your own system. I will tell more about that in a moment. And then, so what are the processing services and tools available on the platform? Well, we can group those into three basic categories. Basically, we have what we call these thematic processing services, which means that you can produce some kind of products like vegetation indices for certain interest area, or land cover mapping, or forest change mapping. And then there are also what we call supporting processing services, which are more like pre-processing of satellite data sets. These are typically stacking of different images together, or mosaicing them, or masking, doing radiometric correction, and these kinds of things. And then the third quite interesting aspect is that we have also these interactive applications like QGIS and Snap. So you can use QGIS directly on the platform, like have a remote session on the QGIS without having any software installed in your own computer. You can find more on these on the website, but we will have a look at that also soon. Then there is the service development interface, which I already mentioned, which allows you to implement your own processing scripts into the platform. And this, you may be aware of other platforms like Google Earth Engine, which has the JavaScript and Python APIs. So this is basically similar but different approach, in the sense that in most platforms, the languages, the programming languages, and the syntax and everything is very much regulated by the platform. In Forestry TEP, it's slightly different in the sense that this developing interface is based on the Docker approach. So, which means that you can quite easily use basically almost any programming language that you prefer to use. So if you have your own scripts already existing, it should be possible to implement those into Forestry TEP, because you can define the programming language yourself, and then only at the end the Docker image is built, and that is then used to run the process in in the platform. And all of these that I mentioned, that you can use the Snap and QGIS and Orfeo Toolbox, all these libraries are also available for the developer on the platform. Okay, and then then there is the REST API approach, like I said, which you can access directly from your own system. So most importantly, if you have created a service into the platform, you can then access this service, run the job that it does, and retrieve the output data back to your own system without even visiting the online interface at all. So this is how most of our large processing tasks, I would say high volume users, this is how they use the platform actually. But this also, Lauri will tell much more about this in the developer section. And yeah, so if you are interested in, after this evening or after this session, if you are interested in trying the platform, the easiest way, I would say, and the most users we have, they are project users. So you can utilize this kind of cloud platform in your projects. We, for example, here in VTT, we have had a long list of projects already for the past 5 years, which at some point have used more or less this forestry TEP processing facilities. And we are happy to partner, of course, in this kind of projects. So this is the most typical way that especially researchers come into using these kinds of platforms. But then, of course, if you later, for example, set up some kind of startup and have ideas, you have a script that you think that could have commercial value, but you don't have a distribution channel or platform, this is another example where this kind of platform could become useful for you. So we have the platform, we have the visual interface, we have the community. So this might be a good way to implement then this kind of new ideas into practice. Good. Some examples of ongoing activities. So what is happening on the platform? Like I said, we have had many projects over the past year. Here, a few largest ones are listed. So we, for example, had the EU project called Forest Flux. Its main processing platform was this forestry TEP. And we had last year, we had the ISA project called the Forest Digital Twin Precursor. Similarly, they used the forestry TEP as the processing platform. And now we have an ongoing large ISA project called the Forest Carbon Monitoring, which in a way continues or takes further the lessons learned from the Forest Flux project. And in this Forest Carbon Monitoring project, we are building this kind of a prototype of a forest carbon platform where we would be able to use different combinations of satellite data and different combinations of processing methods based on the user needs. And again, Forestry TEP is the demonstration platform where all the processing will happen. And the benefit of this kind of projects for the platform itself is that, or the other users also of the platforms, is that within these projects, new approaches or new services are developed and are implemented into the platform. And many of these then become usable also for the users. Some examples of the kind of services or applications. Yeah, you might be confused with the terminology. These applications, they are called officially services in the forestry tech platform, but basically they are applications or software tools. And one of the applications that we have, for example, is this VTT developed auto change, which is quite highly used. Unfortunately, it's not available for all users because it's a licensed software, but this has been used in many of the projects that I just mentioned. And it's a change detection algorithm, works on image to image type of change detection, but the key issue or the key point of this is that it does not directly compare the spectral values of these two images. But what it does is that it creates clustering in the first image, and then it compares how homogeneous those clusters are still in the second image. And that basically that is how it then derives the changed areas and the change magnitude and different types of changes. And the benefit of this is that, as we all know, there are inter-image variations. I mean, the images may vary, their spectral level may vary slightly for atmospheric reasons, or even more so for example, seasonal reasons. And this approach is quite robust against that kind of changes, because it looks into those areas that were homogeneous in the first image. It looks those areas in the second image and evaluates whether they are homogeneous or not, regardless of how similar they look to the first image. Another approach that is widely used in the platform is this probability. I don't know if Oleg has mentioned this actually during the day already, but it's again a VTT developed approach, an empirical method to estimate forest structure variables like height or diameter. And it has a few steps. It starts with the clustering, and then it combines the field data, the reference data information to the clusters, and creates a model based on that. And then it estimates for each pixel the estimated value, looking into how probable it is for that pixel to belong to any of these or some of these clusters. So it uses the average of the clusters weighed by the probability of how probable it is to belonging to that cluster. And this probability has been then used also in the carbon monitoring by combining it with process-based ecosystem modeling. So what we did in the forest flux and what we do again in the forest carbon monitoring is that we first use the probability to estimate the forest structure variables. Then we use those as input to this ecosystem modeling, which then provides us with the carbon flux information on carbon fluxes, like basic information like biomass, but then also estimation of the net primary production or gross primary production and this kind of variables. Good. And yes, we have the website for more information. Let's go actually to look. Can you now see the website screen?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, so we can have a look very briefly. So when you start then using the platform, you can find basically all information from this website. So in the landing page, there are more like general kind of information on the platform. Then in the offering page, you can find listing of all the services. Notice here they're called services, like I mentioned, the different kinds of applications that we have on the platform and short descriptions of those. And then on the subscription page, you can find information on what the different kinds of packages are. And as you notice, this is not a free platform, but don't be too worried about that, because there are different ways of actually applying for funds for using this platform, particularly if you are using it for research projects. There is this ESA Network of Resources initiative, which I don't know if it has been mentioned already or will be mentioned this week. That has been running several years already. And then there is this also from EU, this OCRE, Open Clouds for Research Environment initiative, which is actually the call is open right now for applications. And then we have this news and outreach page for more information. But most importantly, and which is where I want to finish, is the registration and support page. So this is the page where you can find, first of all, information how to start using the platform. And then when you start using it, information on specific details like the user manual and service development and some short tutorial videos. And now I would like to make sure that everybody has everybody registered into this ESA EO sign-in system. If someone has not registered yet, then you have still the 30 minutes time to do that, which is more than enough. It's quite a simple process, because the login to the platform happens through or using this EO sign-in account. So that's it, actually. Yeah, I think, what time is it? It's already, yeah, well, it's perfect. It's 3 o'clock. So in my mind, unless you have questions now, we can have some short questions if you want. If not, we can have a break now, and those who have not registered yet could register, and then after half an hour we could start actually looking and handling the platform itself. So if we continue from the page where we left on the website, or actually it's on every page, this platform button, even on the front page, fdep.com, you can find this platform button, and you can try to click it and see what happens. If you end up with this kind of screen, okay, it was short, but sometimes the trial stays there longer because you may have something in the cache, it doesn't recognize you, then you could push the refresh button. But anyway, when you try to log in, this is the screen that you should end up, the EO sign-in screen, and there you can then use your EO credentials and password. And by the way, if you do not have those yet, from the same screen, you could have then went on and registered. And then when you click the login, I mean the hit enter, you should end up in either this kind of screen or the white box that just briefly you saw there, asking you to start a trial. If you have never visited this platform before, it will ask you to start a trial. So then you can click that. That's 30 days free use. And if everything has worked well, you should be seeing this kind of map background at this point. Is there, how did it work? I mean, is there anybody having trouble getting in? If everything is going smoothly.
Some roaming. So did you register or is it fine? Okay, good.
I think if most people are in, we perhaps could proceed, because I will demonstrate first anyway, and maybe during the time, if there is someone or some people who haven't gotten in, maybe you can, Oleg, try to to see what the problem might be.
To meditate, yes.
So I understand most of you have gotten
like
in.
90% are in.
Okay,
so.
Great. Maybe let's go ahead, because what I want to do first anyway is to mainly go through the key interfaces and explain a few things. So at this point, you don't need to do anything. It might be good actually that you wouldn't do anything, but more follow and listen. And then only in about 20 minutes or so, we start actually doing the exercises. So yeah, so like I said, this is the interface where you end up, and this is called the Explorer interface. So the Explorer interface is where most of the action happens. And we will come back to this interface in a short while, but I will just show you briefly what the other interfaces are in this platform. So first of all, if we start from the very end, we have the help desk. So what happens if you click here, you actually end up into the same web page where you have that information. Logout, don't click that until you're done. Then there is the My Account interface. You can find information on your account. I'm also logged in with the trial subscription now, so we should see exactly the same things. So there is basic information when your subscription started and so on and so on, and your username. And also I mentioned the REST API access. So if you need to use that, you have to create the key. You can use the key here, or create the key here that you need to use then to allow the access. But then more important interface is this manage and share interface, because this is where you can manage groups, for example. A group is an important concept in forestry TEP, because if you want to share your work, if you want to share your services, or if you want to share your outputs or your reference data with other people, it all happens through this group concept. So you can create a group for yourself here, and then you can add members into that group. We will actually do this later today. But the groups are not the only things you can manage here. There are also, you can create projects if you work on different data sets or different topics. You can create different topics for yourself. You can manage your data baskets. Data basket is another important concept in forestry TEP. It is basically a collection of data sets that you want to use. Typically in some project, you want to use or you choose to use, let's say 10 to 100 satellite images. So you can collect them to these data baskets and then handle them within the data baskets. So you can see what data baskets you have and what kind of files you have in them. And we will create a data basket later today. You can see your own jobs that you have been running, meaning the different types of processing applications that you have run. You can see the details, the inputs, outputs, and logs of these jobs here. There is the systematic processing. I will jump over that because that's a bit more advanced system. But also you can see all the services that you have, all the applications that you have access to. And you can, for example, share them if you have the rights and so on. And finally, you can also, there is also a files tab where you could see your own files, what you have. But in fact, we have nowadays a better file interface, which is this. It's called Files. It's one of the tabs at the top. So that is a better place to look at all your files, and not only your files, but all the files that you have access to, meaning that, for example, if you are in a group and someone shares a file within that group, this is the place you could see that. And then you could see the details of the file, and you can, for example, download the file into your own computer if you want. You can search for the files, and most of all, on the left-hand side here, this is an important button, this upload button. So one of the key benefits of these kinds of platforms is that the satellite data and all the other data that is there on the Creodias, that is accessible to you. But then you can combine that with your own data by uploading your own data. So if you want to upload your own data into the platform, you can click this plus button and then just drag and drop the file here and click this upload button. This feature we will not try today, actually. And then there is the developer interface, which is for more advanced use. Like I said, if you want to implement your own services, but it's also a good place to see how these other services, most of the services here which are open to use, they also, you can see the codes here, all the files. So if you want to develop, or when you want to start to develop your own service, you can see how the other services have been created and copy those concepts. So that is it is a good source of material. Good, but now let's go back to the main main place. So the Explorer interface, and here on the right hand, upper right hand, you have these basic navigation buttons. You can, for example, draw polygon, or you can draw a different type of polygon, and you can clear those polygons, or you can edit the polygon you can see the actual coordinates, and you can, if you want, you can edit the shape of the polygon like that. And and you can copy the polygon to clipboard, which means that if you click this button, you will get this string into your clipboard and then paste it. I will show later where it can be useful, for example. Or you can clear the whole screen back to its original position. Of course, there is zoom in and out. You can also zoom in and out with your mouse easily with the scroll button. And on the top upper left, you can choose what kind of background you want to have. If you want to have an open street map or just a satellite image, or what is this satellite and the street map is the default. Good, but these are just the like navigation buttons. On the left hand, on the other hand, we have the main features. So starting on the left hand, on the top, you have the search features. So if you click the search button, this kind of panel will open, and you can see that you can search either satellite data, you can search reference data, or the FTEP products. And the terminology goes so that the FTEP products are the outputs of jobs that have been run in forestry TEP. Reference data is a bit confusing. Here it means all data that has been uploaded by the users. Then it's considered reference data. The satellite data, on the other hand, is it's what it's called. It's the satellite data available in CREODIAS, basically. And if you want to search, you can then choose the sensor, for example, Sentinel-2. You can choose the dates here and the cloud coverage, and you need to choose the level. And of course, most importantly, you need to use this polygon tool now to choose an area. And then you can hit the search button, and this data panel opens at the bottom, showing the results of your search. And as you can see, when you scroll down or go through the list, you can see where the file actually is. Let's see if we have some. This one, for example. And you can see the cloud coverage here, but most of all, by clicking this info button here, you can see a quick look or a browse image of the scene, and also all the other metadata information that is in the file itself. Good. And then we will try this. We will try this search function soon on a real situation. But then if we continue down from the search, the next one is services. So this is where you can find the applications. And now you can see those applications that you have rights to. So again, if someone creates an application and shares it with you, then this is the place where you can see it. This, for example, here in VTT, we use this very much this platform exactly the way that we have our own internal research group, and whatever services or applications we need to use, then our service developers create the services and then share it with the whole group. So then all us researchers can use the services through this platform. And like I said, there are different types of services. We will have a closer look later, for example, in this tree cover density service. Then there is Envimon, which is a pre-processing tool for satellite data. If you want to use Sentinel-2 level 1 or 2 images, for example, but you would want to have them in TIFF instead, you could run it through this Envimon, or you can do cloud masking with FMask, or there are a lot of different types of GDAL tools already implemented here. And also these are good examples of how, if you want to implement some other GDAL tool, how you could do that. And then Sentinel-2 processing tools and vegetation indices is a very basic tool, but that's what we will later use as in one of our demos. And you can find from the same service page, you can also find then the the GIS and Snap, the what we call application services. Good. And then if you want to, when you want to use some service, and for example, I will use this example, vegetation services, and you click that, it will open in the workspace. And this is the place, it's the next button down on the left, it's called the workspace. This is the place where you then enter the required parameters. And this now, how it looks here, it depends entirely on the service developer. I mean, what kind of parameters do each services need? It varies, and some have different types of modes. Like this one, for example, has the so-called basic mode, where you don't need to give any specific images to it, and then the so-called advanced mode, where you actually give an image to it where you want to create it. We will try that later. And then last but not least is the data panel button. And this is where the, let's say, the platform communicates with the user through this panel. First of all, there is this expand button on the right hand side, right next to the croc. So if you click that, it will get bigger. And in this data panel, you can find results, any kind of, if you do any researches, you can find the results here. Also, you can go through your data baskets, so you can see what data baskets you have and what files you have in there. I wonder why I don't see now. Or maybe it doesn't have any. Okay, there it goes. It was a bit slow. Yeah, so you can see what kind of files you have in there, and you can edit the data baskets, the names and descriptions and so on. And you can see also, this I button here, you can load to map. This is when it would show you where those files actually are. But was this, this may not be a suitable example for that. Yes. Okay, and then we have in the data panel also, we have the jobs layer. So you can see all the jobs, all the applications that you have run, basically. And for each of those, you can see here the inputs, what has been used, and the outputs, and the log of the process. And you can also see here details of when it started, for example, and when it ended. And here, an important button again, if you want to now share this job with other users, you can click this share button and choose a group that you want to share it with. And even more important button, this edit and rerun button. So if you want to change some parameter, you want to use you want to run the same job, but you would want to just try it with another parameter, you can click this edit and rerun, and it will open again in the workspace, and you can easily just change the parameters you want and then run it. Yeah, this is a very simple service, this tree cover density. So we can see the inputs here, and we can see the outputs, and we can see the logs. There is some slowness now clearly in the platform. It's usually a bit faster. It may be because there are 40 or 35 people doing the same things at the same time. Anyway, the logs are visible here then after. So if you run into some problems with the running, you can check the log and see where it ended, what happened. Good. But I think the best way to learn is by doing. So let's all try something. And the first thing what we could do is a very simple vegetation index calculation, just so that you can see how you run these forestry processing services, search an image and run a processing service. So what we will do is in 3 steps, basically. We search a suitable Sentinel-2 image. In this case, it needs to be level 1C because this service eats level 1C data. You can choose some forested area perhaps, or up to you. And then we run the vegetation indices service and we see the results on the screen. So let's start. We can close this panel for now. And the first step we need to do is to search for the nice satellite image. So we open the search window, and if you haven't already chosen the satellite search, you can click the satellite button so that it opens the satellite search. And we need Sentinel-2 image as it is. You can specify the time. Let me take, for example, last summer. You can specify the time by either just putting your cursor here and inputting the numbers, or by choosing the date from the calendar here. And then the polygon. Now you need to use the polygon tool, which you could find from the upper right corner. And you can create a search polygon. Let's try somewhere in Latvia, for example. And when you create this polygon here, you may have noticed it automatically inputs the string here. In some services, it might not do it. So that's why now that you have created the polygon, you could click this copy to clipboard button here, and then you could Control V paste it on the AOI box. Then you can specify the cloud cover. Let's try to get very cloud-free images. And the level is correct. So then we just hit this pink button here and see what comes out. For some reason, I don't get anything now. I wonder if it's I don't think it's, well, let's try with higher cloud coverage. No. Are you getting results? I mean, are you seeing scenes? I'm checking what is wrong here.
Can we test maybe 20?
Yeah, are you, the participants, are you seeing some results?
Okay, so some people are seeing.
Some people are seeing. I wonder what is wrong with my query then.
Yeah. Okay. Can we search for the whole year, maybe? Oh, for the same period.
Yeah. Or again, it may be if there is same search 35 times at the same time, it may not be able to handle that. Let me try 1 year before. No, still nothing. This is strange. How many, I mean, if most of you have gotten results, we can, of course, try to go ahead. How big proportion of you have you see some
Okay,
files?
at least half, I think, or more than half, maybe. Or yeah, here's more than half, or yeah, also. Yeah, Jukka, maybe you can try this year. Maybe. From
Yeah, this is very weird. If others can see the results, but I cannot.
Restarting computer. Oh. Yeah, would it help like log out and log in? I don't know.
Yeah, it could if it doesn't work.
Oh.
Okay, let's try.
Oh, you're searching over Latvia, so maybe this is why in Latvia we can get it. Yeah, it's like, yeah, some security issue, I think. You cannot access it from the east.
Yeah. Let's see when I start again. Okay. So now I won't touch anything too much. I will just make this a more, okay, actually I won't touch that at all. Let's just see if I get something. It doesn't matter what I get. Okay, now I start to get good. So now I want to focus more on the, let's hope that this now, or maybe really if we all were searching from more or less from the same location at the same time for the same dates,
okay,
maybe it somehow confused it, but now it works. So that's good. Yeah. Let's see, for example, this one, how does it look? Yeah, cloud coverage is close to zero. That is zero. That's very good. And there is a nice forest area here. At least for me, I can use this image. You can similarly choose whatever image you want to use. And you can basically leave it as it is now. So you just click one of the files and it gets sort of selected. Then if we have selected the scene, we can then close this search button and open the services. So the second from the top left, services. And there we can then choose the vegetation indices service as soon as it comes. It's clearly now there is some slowness on the platform. It usually is faster. So you should find it on the first page, and somewhere near the bottom, this vegetation indices is the service called. And when you click it, then left click once, it will open on the workspace. And now, because we want to run it specifically for one file, we click the so-called advanced mode. And there, if you start looking the parameters, the first one is the input data. So here you can very easily, if you go, you should still see the results in the panel. You can just see where the double line is here to the left of the file name. There it says there drag result. You can click your left button or push down your mouse left button and drag the file directly to the input data, where you can see that the cursor changes. You see that first it has the prohibition sign, but then it changes into the arrow. There you can drop it and it automatically goes as the input file into the workspace. And then you could choose different kinds of vegetation indices. We can choose NDVI. Well, you can choose what you want. I will choose NDVI. And then there is this area of interest parameter. And this I recommend using now because it makes the process faster. So you can now use again the polygon tool. So you choose the polygon, and then let's see where the forest area was here. Then you can draw a small polygon somewhere within the scene that you can use. And now you have two options. When you have created the polygon, you can either click this copy polygon on clipboard and then paste it here on the area of interest. Or you can directly click this after area of interest parameter. There is this copy from map button where my cursor is now. You can click that and the polygon appears into the parameter list. Then we can only enter the output pixel space and give some name to the job so that we can find it easily later, and then hit again the pink launch button. How are we doing? Has everybody managed to fill in the parameters? And if not, what are the problem points?
Yes.
We have one participant who's not managing to drag the file and drop it. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with the platform.
Okay. Yeah, it's like, yeah, just some neighborhood and then.
I press the button, but nothing happened. So I have the data, the indices, polygon, spacing, label, and I put this in.
Okay. So the data you dragged, right? Can you go? Okay.
Dragged in right here.
Input data is there. Okay. And area of interest copied. Okay. But it's surprising. Why is it white background? Yeah. What is this? Can you show us some kind of or is it Henning or? Yeah, this is a little bit irregular. This white. Can you maybe refresh the page just to see what happens? For majority, I think it's stable. Aha, your internet is over, or what? ftap.com took too long to respond. Something has happened. Does other internet? Yeah. Okay, now it's loading. So it looks like 35 was too much, so 34, and then you randomly got out. I will check if somebody else. What about another? Does internet work, or in general, or?
What's happening? How is it? How does it look?
I think it's mostly good, but one of participants got out of the system.
Yes.
Also, oh, but how who got out of this? Okay. Oh yeah. So for two participants, yeah. But you don't have internet at all, or you just ftap? You have.
I think so. Somewhere else. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it logged you out. Okay. So can we log in again? Start the trial. Okay, but this. I think we reached. What if we press only ftap.com? Then it says what? To log in. Welcome to Forestry tab. Okay. Start the trial. Okay. And if you try to log in. Okay. No, but.
Maybe too many users.
Yeah, but it's interesting like situation.
We follow together for one session. Missing content.
Trial not available. You have already enjoyed the platform before. Okay. Yeah, no, there are two over the limit.
What does it mean? Please select job first.
Okay.
In general, it should
Yeah.
be.
Okay. Then.
Area is
Yeah. So then. Just try to press the job.
several
Launch.
times, and the result is same.
Yeah, but it didn't appear. So once it appears here, there will be a job. But at the moment you can't find the job because the job didn't start yet.
Server is
Why?
normal mode. It's not like a messaging services where you can see the job hasn't started yet.
Well, it's something.
Yeah, so when the job starts, it appears here, and then you can see how it goes. But the job didn't start at the moment. Well, I don't know. Oh, your job started. You think so? Why do you think so? Yeah, you see, his job started. So some job started. So he was quicker. Yeah, he was quicker.
This interface. So in stack, awaiting jobs probably should be also.
Okay, yeah.
Otherwise, user is pressing the button several times.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it could be that if people press the button several times, multiple jobs are started or something. Okay, Jukka. Okay, I will describe.
Yeah.
So, Jukka,
Oleg,
what
the
happened
situation report, yeah.
Yeah, so several jobs have started, but for several people, they got logged out, and when they tried to log in, they offered to trial account, but then when they press trial account, they get a message that they already enjoyed trial account. So
For 5 minutes. Yeah.
yes, not
Okay,
for 1 month.
that's unfortunate.
But can you see many jobs have started or no?
Yes, I think Lauri can see that it should be now okay. I mean, my own jobs started actually. I pushed
Yeah, for several
accidentally
people,
twice.
yeah, some people have accidentally pressed tens of times.
Okay, well that may
So
that may affect the issue as well, because I was just going to say that if the problem may now be that if 35 people tries to do the same thing at the same time, and of course if 35 people tries to do the same thing 10 times at the same time, it doesn't help the situation.
yeah, I think it was a bit nervous situation, but so yeah.
Okay, so let's now cool down. How many? Don't push the play button anymore.
Yeah,
How
we need to disable it somehow.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
That's a good good lesson. But
Yeah.
but the question is now, how many of you have your jobs running? I mean, can you see your
Okay.
job in this kind of state with the
So 7 hands,
yeah
8 hands, 9 hands, 10, half.
half?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Let's leave it as it is. I think everybody has pushed enough times, so let's give it a bit time now. Instead, at this point, we could now go and see how to create a group.
Yeah.
Let's give it a bit time to rest and see what happens. So, well, we'll see how this platform overall reacts. So now you could push the manage and share interface tab in the upper bar, and when you reach there, you may or may not have this groups panel already open. If you do not have it open, you can find it here at the top on the left hand side, groups. If you push that, it will open, and then at the bottom of that you have the plus button, create a new group. So you can click that, and you can give whatever name to your group. What kind of groups I have already? Latvian demo group. Let's give it like this, and you can give a description if you want that this is a group of your colleagues or a group of some specific project or whatever, but you don't need to give that, and then just hit create. And then it should appear on the groups list. And at least for me, it did appear. How is it for you? If you then click the whatever group you created, you can see the details of the group. You can see who are the users and how it's shared. Can you see this kind of screen now?
It seems, yes.
Good. If you can, then you can add. Now what you should see is that you are the only member of the group at the moment. You should see yourself, your own username here, and on the right hand side you have this add users button. So then by clicking the add users button, a dialog box opens where you can enter enter an email or username. And unfortunately, well, I guess it's a good thing, but nowadays we have this security or these privacy regulations. We cannot scroll, we cannot choose the users from any kind of list, but you need to know the email or username of the person you want to add. So for example, if you know now some of your friends there, what email they have used to create the Forestry Tep login, you can put that email here. I will, for example, add Lauri Seitsonen at vtt.fi into my group and click add. User added successfully, was told, and then I can close the dialog, and then soon I should see also Lauri as the member of the group here. Like that. So now I have this kind of Latvia demo group, and then if I want to share, let's say, for example, the output of the Vegetation Index service that we are now running, I can share it to this group, and then both Lauri and I can see the output of that. This is a very important feature here. But let's go back to the Explorer and see what's happening. So at least my job, it is running, but it has been running actually too long already. It shouldn't take this long. Oh,
it's finished.
It's finished. Actually,
Next
it was just not updated. How is the situation with others? Is the job that you started, is it still on the processing mode, or has it reached this green mode that it's done?
I can see 48 running jobs at management console.
Okay. How does it look like overall? Are most of the jobs?
Yeah, I see this. Okay, this is jobs. Okay, those are finished also. No.
It seems they are finishing quickly, and only 22 left.
Good.
Okay, so you have the output, some kind of output. Yeah, good. Yeah, input and output, some TIFF output. Aha, so it works again. Or?
I'm not sure. I pressed play.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I'm one of the 48 jobs.
Oh yeah, okay, likely. If I press on the jobs. Okay, but here you have already one and the output, no output still. Let's see. So the job is completed but no output. But did you? So this was Sentinel-2 image and polygon.
If the job is completed, there probably is an output, but it may be the system slowness that you may have to wait for a while. For example, I can't see my output at the moment.
Oh yeah, now we see it. Yeah. So
you see it.
One, yeah.
Okay.
So there is some delay. It's just.
Yes.
Now you can download it or open it. Yeah.
So, okay. Most of the people
many jobs. Yes, there are many jobs. Good.
Oh, okay. If those people who have many jobs running now, who click 10 times, you can terminate all but one. Please. You can push the stop button in the job list.
Yeah, if there are many jobs.
So I
Mm.
If her job was correctly created or not, it's okay or not, because you have this message.
If can you make it a bit wider so that we see? Okay, yeah, see, job is finished, and then you can check output of the job. But let's wait a bit. It might now appear.
So when she sees in the messages that some job could not be created, this is an older.
It might be, yeah. But I mean, this is irregular actually, because normally, okay, maybe Finns have a bit longer patience. You press, and then you wait 1 minute at least before you press second time, you know.
Press me that one is gonna fail and then the other one.
Well, I don't know. We speculate a bit. But this one is like you see it finished. And there is output, so that's good.
Okay,
Yeah.
those of you
Normally such simple things work fine.
if you look at the screen now, if you see this kind of scene that your job that you started, and then you would have an output if you click the output tab. Those of you who can see it like this, you can click well, first of all, you can clear the screen by clicking the clear map here on the right hand side. And then if you click this layer image, the show WMS layer, you can see your output on the screen. In this case, the NDVI output for the area that you chose. And you can zoom in and out like this. Can most of you do this by now, or are there still many sessions hanging?
By the way, it might work again because there it might allow you in again. Okay, so now it works. Okay, yeah. I think all sessions are restored. Oh, this is interesting. So this is monitoring of water. Okay. Yeah, this is quite, yeah. No ships. Oh, so some job has failed. Interesting. So, okay. Oh, okay, this is services. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, but these jobs are, yeah, I mean, they all failed, but they have status error, but okay, maybe we can just, let's see what happens. Edit and run. So now.
Okay. Oleg, what's the overall status now?
If you can try it again. Yes.
Have most people reached this stage, or should we go forward? Or
yeah, majority I see. So if we do majority voting, but it's like, you know. Okay, so you start the trial.
No, it crashed again.
Ah, again. Okay, so you have an output. Oh, it's still working.
The neighborhood already has something.
Okay, neighborhood has. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, I think majority voting is positive. It's
okay.
Like in democracy, minority suffers.
Because we are running, it has taken longer than expected. So let's go ahead and what we could do. I'm wondering. I was
and press many times.
I was thinking to have 3 exercises, but
idea to block.
But I think we can skip the number 2, and you can maybe do this on your own in the coming days or tonight. So this exercise 2 was about to be the. Oh, okay. let's do it like this. Let's do this exercise 2 still together, and then I will just demo the exercise 3 alone at the end, and you can do that maybe later, because this is I like this actually, this Copernicus land monitoring service. So in the previous one we used the satellite image, but in Creodias there are also other types of data sets available. One type of data sets are the Copernicus services outputs. So there are, you may be aware of those, there are many different types of products. For example, there are these European high resolution layers, which include forestry layers. And among those forestry layers, there is this tree cover density product, for example. And if you have used those before, you may know that they are available publicly, easily, you can download them, but it's not that simple. If you are working on a specific area, you always have to download the data sets and mosaic them and cut them for your area and so on. So for that reason, there is a simple tool in Forestry TEP to extract the tree cover density product for your interest area. And this is what we will do now. So you can leave actually this job view as it is, because we will need this output of the previous job. But other than that, we need to go to the services tab again, and it's at the very top, this CLMS tree cover density service. So if you click that, it should open on the workspace, but it still has at least I have the vegetation indices. Takes some time perhaps. Now I have the tree cover density in the workspace. Does everybody have it as well? I hope soon at least. And then you can see what kind of parameters it would need. So you can create it for any area of interest polygon that you create, and then you would have to specify the projection and the resolution and all. But we are now interested in getting it exactly for our study area, which is this area that we used in the previous. So what we can do, we can use this AOI image option. So if you have the output from your previous vegetation indices job, again, you just drag it like this to the AOI image parameter box and drop it there. And I think I used 20-meter resolution for the vegetation indices product, so I will put the same here, but you can use whatever you used. And then we just label. And hit the launch button again. And now don't worry if you don't see it right away. Don't push it again. I think it will appear soon. You can, in fact, after you have hit the launch button, you can close this workspace entirely. At least I have now the new job on my job list. How does it look like for you?
Yeah.
So, well, somehow I drag, but I can't see. But it's probably again it's
But-
net problem. This.
So you drag it to the products.
Yeah.
Okay. But, yeah.
Okay, it seems that it's going. Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so those that failed, maybe we can delete them.
Delete?
Okay, we cannot stop them now. Okay, but this
Yeah,
one at
if-
least works, so let's not. Okay.
If someone has still many jobs running, I can now show because I have this one stop. So there is this terminate the job button, this stop button on the screen. So
Yeah,
if
but
you
then
click
in
this,
your
you
case
can.
it failed, so you cannot. Yeah. Okay. Good. Oh, maybe not so good, but.
Okay, my tree cover density job finished. How does it look for others? I think I was among the first to start it, so. Okay, those of you whose job has finished, and you can again see the output like this here. Now, if you again click the show layer button, it will now show the tree cover density product for your interest area. So it's now exactly the same dimensions as the vegetation indices product. And by the way, I didn't mention it yet, so you can download all of these outputs easily to your own computer if you want from here. Does most of you, or do most of you have some vegetation tree cover density now?
Let's check. Something is going on.
My results, the result is black color.
Black color, NDVI, you mean?
No,
Oh.
it's three. Next one, next job. Second, not vegetation. Vegetation is good, but tree cover. Density
Okay.
is in
But did you open this previous product? Does it look all right? Can you? But it kind of doesn't show any image. But it was
good result.
okay. Oh, it's.
Yeah, that is the first step. I think he's thinking. If I push this button, I can't drag and drop here.
Can you try again? No, can I? No. Oh, sorry. Okay, but this is job output. Oh, yeah. So I don't know why it's. Okay, so this is all right. Can it be some problem with this?
Okay.
At least, Oleg, it seems that someone is trying to run this service without an AOI image.
Yeah, it's possible
or,
because
or AOI.
we fail in dragging TIFF into this AOI polygon area.
Okay.
Can we enter it somehow manually? Okay, copy from map.
Yes, you can copy the name and then Control V into the. Oh.
How do we copy it?
And then, but if you do that, then you need to hit the plus button also there.
Okay.
Then it adds it into the into the parameter.
Okay, this looks like polygon, right? So this.
Yeah. Anyway, now we are really running out of time, so I suggest
Okay,
that.
let's try. See what happens.
I suggest that
Okay,
I
so
will show
something is
you
green.
what we were planning to do for the third exercise, and you can do this in the evening if you are interested. So in the third exercise, we were about to create a data basket and then open it in a QGIS service. So now, for example, this output product, it looks nice and okay here because it has a specified look for the colors. But as you notice, the NDVI doesn't look that good here in this view. And then also you may want to analyze them further in QGIS, for example. So the easy way to do this is to, first of all, to create a data basket. Actually, you don't even need to go to the data basket tab. You can create it here on the jobs tab. There is a shopping cart with the plus sign. That if you push that, you can create a new data basket. Let's say Latvia 5, because I don't remember how many of these I have already created while testing. And we can then select that our specific data basket as the active one by selecting the data basket here. Let me see. Oh, it's not there yet. It's some slowness again. Let me see if I can see it here. No, I can't see it here either yet. Okay, there it comes. So let's see now if I select the data basket. Let's see if I can find it. No.
Nothing shows up at all.
There it goes. And then I can choose that Latvia 5 as my so-called active data basket. And then if I want to put, for example, the output product from this tree cover density job, I will go into the output and click it to make it active. And as you noticed, this button activated, which is the add to data basket button. In this case, add to Latvia 5. So I can just click that and it should be added to Latvia 5. And I can do the same for the vegetation indices output. So when I go to the vegetation indices output, vegetation indices job, and wait for a moment now that, I mean, in normal conditions, when I use this all happens in half a second. Now it takes 5 to 10 seconds for some reason, but again, I will activate it and I will click the add to Latvia 5 data basket. And now if I go to the data baskets tab, I should see, I hopefully soon see the two files here. At least I can see my Latvia 5 basket here. And then if I want to use the that data basket directly as an input to a QGIS service. I can now choose the QGIS service from here. Let's take the QGIS 3 and it opens it in the workspace. There we have it, but I'm a bit surprised that I still don't see the other file here. I hope it's there in reality. Anyway, when you have all the files in the data basket that you want to, you can just drag the whole data basket from here. The drag data basket button, you can drag that as input to the QGIS service. And now you can see that the data basket is here. By the way, I can show you here what is important here. When you, perhaps this was the issue, so last time for someone, you can see now my cursor here. It has the kind of cross on top of the par. Here you cannot drop it, but here when it changes into this kind of 2 lines, then it's in the right spot and you can drop it and then it gets selected there. Okay, and then another important point in this QGIS and all application services, that there is this timeout, because when we start the when we start the process, it will open the session in a way, and you can specify the time for that session. And this was originally created so that because you can terminate the job if you want, but if you just close the browser window, you will soon see how we see it. It won't terminate the job actually. So there was a danger that this kind of QGIS jobs would continue running forever on the platform if people don't specifically terminate them. And that's why there is this timeout. But beware of this timeout. If you put 10 minutes or so, it is really, it ends the job then. So if you haven't finished your whatever you wanted to do, then you lose everything if you haven't saved them by that time. Okay, after you have clicked this button here, then this job, the QGIS jobs appear on the job list again. And after a moment, this kind of arrow, go to graphical user interface, appears. This is not visible at the start when you click the button. You have to, in normal conditions, you have to wait for a few seconds. Now it might have taken a bit longer, but there it is. And now if you click this button, it opens in another browser window a remote session of QGIS 3 in this case. And it should come visible very soon. I wonder what the issue is. Server disconnected.
Sorry,
Let's
this is
try.
an issue with the cookies.
Okay, so you mean I have to clear my history?
Yes, it sometimes does this, and then clearing ftep cookies helps. And then refresh this window and then refresh this window first.
Okay. Yeah, I need to log in. Good. Well, this is not good. Usually this happens, or if this happens, it disappears in a few seconds. There it goes. And the benefit of that, like I just told you, it won't stop the process running. The benefit of this is exactly what we just witnessed here. So even after these kind of manipulations and logging out and logging in, the service was still running. So I could now jump directly into the QGIS. And so as you can see now, I have on my browser QGIS window, and I can work here as if this was on my computer. And then I can save the products. If I want to save something, it needs to be saved here in the output directory. And I could save here the Latvia project, for example. And then when I am finished, I can just terminate this, and I can terminate the job here. And after it's properly terminated, then I can see the output products of that job in this outputs. But now it's almost 5, and it would be very nice to hear something about the developer as well. So what is your schedule after this? Do you have some other activity right after 5, or can we go 10 minutes?
Yes, I think so.
10 to 15 minutes over.
Yeah.
If that's okay, that would be good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, in that case, I will leave the stage for Lauri, who has already helped us with the technical issues on the background, but he will tell you now about the developer interface. Let me unshare somehow this. Stop share. I think now you should be able to share, Lauri. Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, and hopefully you can hear me as well.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so all FTEP users have this developer tab where the services are defined. And the services, it helps if you have some basic understanding of Docker and Linux and that kind of stuff. But if not, don't be afraid. Copy and paste are very common tools in this. It seems that we have this server slowness again. So the service is defined first in the Docker file. You define the running environment for the software. For example, in this example service, which runs gdal.info, we start from Ubuntu 18.04, install the required packages, install some ftep utility wheel for Python, which helps to manage the input parameters for the services.
Lauri, is it only me, or I can't still see the developer? It is frozen to the screen is frozen to the map view.
Okay, it decided to
Okay.
Yeah,
pause my sharing, it seems.
Okay, yeah, now we can see the right
Yeah.
screen. Yeah, this is the
Okay.
developer interface.
Also, so this is the Docker file where you define the Linux environment for the software to run. And the entry point to the service is this workflow.sh script, where in this case, this is modified from a template which gives all these already. I normally put these rows here to print debugging information. It's easier to debug the system if you can see the versions and that kind of things. And here I simply call my Python script and check its return value. And the Python script uses our ftep utility library to manage the parameters of the service. So this service is defined in three files. And in addition to that, we need to define the inputs, the parameters of the service, and the output or outputs. And here we have a tick box mountful EO data, which means that the CreoDIAS environment makes available all the data in a network share. And it's a folder structure from which you can find all the Sentinel data, for example, if you know where it is. And you can find the direct file paths from the metadata. When you search for the images and open the metadata, you can actually see the /eo data /da path of the files, and with that you can reverse engineer. For example, if you want to make a service for which you give 2 dates and an AOI, and then it processes all the images within that time period, for example. But because this time is now quite limited, so okay, when you create a service, you click a plus button here, give a name which should not contain anything but letters and numbers, title, which is normal text, and short, I think it was 255 character description. Accept the terms and click create. But because probably most of you won't remember from these few minutes all the details, in the help desk we have the service developer guide and links to some other documentation. And the service developer guide goes through all the phases of the service development, creating the service, defining the files, inputs, outputs, and also covers these more sophisticated features like templated service parameters, which means that you can create a service that can have 2 different parameter sets, one for standard users, one for advanced users, and that gives the possibility to define the defaults for these hidden parameters for the standard users. The systematic processing, the service can be defined so that it executes. It's executed for all new images on a certain area for a certain time period. And after you have created the service and tested it, found it acceptable, you can share it to other users or you can publish it. And that happens in the Manage Share tab of the portal. And find the services and then click the share and select the group with which to share the service. And you can define whether it's the label is service user, so the other people can just use the service, or whether they can, as a service to read-only developers, they can see the source codes for the service. As a service developer, they can actually modify the code, and the service operator is the kind of administrator level access to the service. And then there's also a possibility to publish services with this request publication, after which the FTP administrators need to accept the request before the service is made public. But this service developer guide contains also some code samples. For example, how to download binary files in the Docker file, what's needed to create a service that uses Python and GDAL, which are quite common tools. And if you are using R, what kind of packages need to be installed. And then there's a link to this utility library to make things easier. And about these helper tools we have for the REST API, it's a bit tricky. And although the documentation says that you can use the token to access directly the REST API, it requires currently a valid single sign-on session, which makes it a bit tricky to use from scripts. But if you are using Python, we have a library which makes it easy to use. So you just open the API with the user name and password, and then you can use all the API methods. And this is a work in progress, so we are adding more options to this package when the users request something. So if you need something, please ask. Okay, I think I used my 10 minutes.
Good. Do you have any questions regarding the developer interface or otherwise, actually? We could still maybe take those if we have time.
You can send your questions by email to me or to this generic info@ftep.com address. and someone from our team will respond.
Yes, you can contact us anytime. So yeah, I'm sorry about the slowness of the platform earlier. It was a shame we couldn't fully do the last exercise, but what I will do now, I will send the slide set to you, and if you want, you can have a look at it later on your own time, then it works better, I can guarantee.
Just a reminder to the participants, every day we have teachers for one domain. So today is about forestry. We have VTT and Oleg and his colleagues. Tomorrow they will not be here. We switch to another subject. So if you have questions about forestry, ask them today. Of course, then you have the email contact. But unfortunately, we will not have the same teachers tomorrow. And the same is for every application.
Yes.
Good.
Okay, so it seems that there are no questions.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jukka, Oleg, and all your team for the interesting lecture.
Thank you.
I hope that you can accept to get questions and contacts by email in the next days if people are interested. And I think that they are, because forestry is an important subject for Latvia and for Baltic countries. So I hope that this lecture and this course is also an opportunity to develop partnerships between your team and the participants. Otherwise, thanks again, and then, sorry, you cannot see me. No, where the camera is there, okay. So thanks to all the team of VTT, and for the participants, we meet tomorrow again at 8:30. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. It was great to see you all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jukka. Bye, Lauri.